Hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream. In today's video, we're going to talk about the wild activity that's been going on for the last couple of 3 weeks, especially regarding earthquake activity. And then some breaking news that just came out less than 24 hours ago. Are you serious now? 86,000 earthquakes discovered hiding under the supervolcano? No way. Yeah, we're going to talk about that and more in this video. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. I've also got some rare lightning video footage. Super cool stuff that's been sent in here recently. Lightning that appears to be striking either an orb or some sort of an airplane during a storm. The viewer saw what they thought was an airplane. Upon analyzing the video, and I'll share the video here in just a second, I'm just kind of giving you guys a brief synopsis of what we're going to talk about in this video. It could have been an airplane, could have been something else, I don't know. But very cool video footage nevertheless. The mysterious seismographs, the conspiracy is starting to get bigger and bigger around the seismograph. Malfunctioning, disappearing, the data we can't seem to find, and now the 86,000 earthquakes that were discovered under the Yellowstone Supervolcano. What? You've got to be kidding me. No, I'm not kidding you at all. Highly unusual stuff. Another rare swarm that I just found today, less than 24 hours old, that's several thousand miles away from the ongoing swarms out in the Pacific. So we're definitely seeing an increase in earthquake activity in the northern hemisphere, and the origins, the influencers of this earthquake activity right now are a bit unknown. Normally we can point our finger at one thing or another, like maybe a planetary alignment, a heightened solar activity. Right now, it's neither one of those. We do have an ancient time traveler traveling through the solar system, and I have an update to share with you guys on that too. What else do we have? Rogue buoys, the Pacific Ocean. Oh, I got a UV reading to share with you guys. In fact, we're going to start with that. I know a lot of you guys look forward to the UV readings, and I enjoy doing them myself. And today I've got something to talk about. A lot of times the UV is in the acceptable parameters, and that's what we want. However, today it was a little outside what I would consider acceptable parameters. And here we go. We're going to start up in Canada. This is my friend Darren, who sends in readings from the 50-degree north latitude. Here we go. This video and reading was taken, it's a couple of photos, I just put it in video format, was taken yesterday on the 21st from Abbotsford, British Columbia. Those of you that like to follow the UV, here we go. We're getting into the weekly, and we'll do this multiple times a week now throughout the entire summer in the Northern Hemisphere. But check this out. This is considered extreme UV in Abbotsford, British Columbia. In fact, Abbotsford, British Columbia, which is much farther to the north than where I'm at down here in Southeast Phoenix, had a reading of 12.04, and that's the combined UVAB in milliwatts. Milliwatts is going to show this type of reading. Microwatts would show a bigger number. It's still the same thing, but it just looks bigger. But that's what Darren's been sharing with me now for several years. For some reason, the UV is exceptionally high in southern Canada. Doesn't make any sense. It should be much lower. That's extreme UV in southern Canada. So if you're in southern Canada, quite possibly even the state of Washington, exercise caution when you're outside, especially around noon. The UV, chances are the UV is pretty high. Here's the Arizona readings from today. Those were yesterday's readings out of Abbotsford. This is what I got today. UVC on the left, which we should be receiving zeros on the ground. We don't want to measure UVC on the ground. But as you can see, in milliwatts, I got a 0.03. So I did detect a trace amount of UVC. However, the UVA reading on the right, tongue-tied there, in also milliwatts, 9.84, which is in acceptable parameters. And I took those readings at exactly high noon out here in the desert. So I think and that's what the skies look like, but I took the reading when the sun was out from behind the clouds. And you can see my peak reading, that's what this will show. The number right there is the maximum reading that I got when I was out there, which was an even 10.00 across the board. Again, that's normal. In fact, it's a little below normal. I think the average for this time of year is maybe 11.4, something like that. So the UV in Arizona has been inside the acceptable parameters. The UVC guys, I'm a little, I don't know. My instruments are calibrated and they work fine. It should not be detecting UVC at ground level. Not trying to alarm anybody. It could be just a little glitch, but there's a significant difference between measuring UVC and UVAB. One's a long frequency and one's a short frequency. So it's not measuring UVA or B. It's just not designed. It's not how it's engineered. So it's picking up something. What exactly is going on? I don't know, and I don't really want to speculate too much. Just when you're outside, if you can, carry portable shade, especially if it's at high noon. Wear long sleeves, preferably white. Wear a hat, sunglasses. Just use caution when you're outside, especially during the summer months in the northern hemisphere and during the summer months in the southern hemisphere. So there's today's and yesterday's UV readings from Abbotsford, British Columbia, and Arizona. But what are you guys having? Oh, okay. I was just seeing what oh, you can barely hear. Yeah, I got it turned all the way up, Linda. Don't know what's going on. Some people, their device or their hearing is not good. Don't know why, but the volume, I see the meter right there. It's bouncing up into the lower gold zone, which the next zone is red. So it's on maximum. Right here it is. Cha-ching, see it? I can see the meter over there. So I know the sound is good. And the connection right now is showing we have an excellent connection. So there shouldn't be any problems. Who's got the first super chat? We had a super chat yet today. I don't see one. Who's got the first super chat today? And if you want to become a Star Family member, I have people ask all the time. The link is right up there in the top of the chat, and I'm pointing over here because I have a hardwired external monitor over here to kind of help me with the overflow, because right now I have 16 tabs open at the top, and I have 7 down at the bottom, 7 different things that I'm going to share with you guys here in just a moment. But I want to take you guys, we're going to start here. Then we're just kind of going to move around the northern hemisphere. We're going over here to the East Coast, northern New Jersey. Have you guys seen this? Anybody from northern New Jersey? I've got 2 areas that I want to talk about where earthquakes don't necessarily reveal themselves a whole lot. They're not necessarily known for earthquakes in this part of the world. Northern New Jersey, there's a swarm in the last 24 hours, albeit small, but nevertheless, that was a swarm of earthquakes just west of Morriston, right in here. I went to Google Earth. Yeah, Morristown. So I went to Google Earth to verify the location, and yes, indeed, where's Morristown? Northern New Jersey, right in. I just saw a super chat come through there, right there. I see the color over there. When you guys send a super chat, it lights up the chat room, as you can see, bright yellow. American. Did you see the 4.8 earthquake? I did. There's another super chat. Second one, K-Rec. Thank you, K-Rec. Thank you, American. Appreciate that, guys. Yes, I saw the earthquake. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I took a screen grab, American, of that earthquake, and we're going to talk about it. Great observation, and thank you for the super chats, Crec and American. Who's got the next super chat? Why was there a swarm of earthquakes? And it's ongoing. I mean, there's the orange ones that you see We're going to talk about that, what an American just talked about. This one here, a 2.0 to 722, that's today at 0100 UTC. So within the last 24 hours, this swarm has developed right here in northern Jersey. What? I mean, when I say there's earthquakes all over the northern hemisphere and earthquakes in, what do they say, in diverse places, man, it's happening. There are earthquakes definitely in diverse places. And as American, the first super chatter mentioned, I want to show you guys that he's exactly right. I called it a rogue, that's what I got it titled up here, rogue Pacific Ocean earthquake. Americans saw it too, and so did I. And here's the banner that I made, American. There's an earthquake within the last 24 hours out here between Hawaii and California. Guys, I've been monitoring these earthquakes like a lot of you people in this chat room. You're all very alert, wide awake. You're paying attention. You got your eyes on the ball. I've never seen an earthquake out here, ever. Are you serious? Halfway between Hawaii and California? And I'll show you on the map. That's just a banner I made because I was so surprised. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, you just will have an earthquake in, I don't know, in Miami. I mean, it's just that weird. There it is, right there. Yeah, I saw it too, American. Hey, Graham. Graham's a Star family member. Welcome home, Graham. Look at that. There it is. Let's go to the ocean map. Right there it is, out in the middle of the ocean. So I went to Google Earth. I went as close as I could. I didn't have a whole lot of time. So we're going to go from New Jersey right out here. I didn't see any volcanoes out here. I was looking for anything to explain why we're seeing an earthquake out here in the middle of nowhere. Are you serious? But there it is. And looking at the buoys, I mean, it wasn't big enough to trip a buoy, but let's just look and see. I think I have the buoys open somewhere in my 900 tabs that I have open here. There is some buoy activity next to one of the many swarms that are going on in the northern hemisphere. Not right next to it, but fairly close. I think we talked about this buoy about a week ago. It was out here misbehaving in event mode. Whenever the yellow diamonds you see on here represent active buoys, and they're positioned all around the world, especially here in the Ring of Fire, and also all around the Gulf and the East Coast of America. America is just lined with these buoys. And these apparently are all active. Many years ago, you would see red ones on here too that weren't active. And I was like, okay, why don't you just fix them or take them offline? Well, they eventually, maybe they got them all fixed. I don't know, but they're all yellow now. But when they flash like that, that means they've detected some sort of energy. Not necessarily a tsunami, because I've seen them go into what's called event mode and start showing signs of I don't know, disruption. They're feeling some sort of energy, whether it be coming from the sea floor or from the water itself. These things, they used to be, I haven't looked in a while, maybe they're engineering these things differently these days, I don't know, but they used to be anchored to the seafloor. And sometimes, I remember years ago, seeing these things showing 500 feet movement, 250 meters, and these things would be 4,000 meters deep, several thousand feet. But there was no earthquake. So I'm like, well, the only explanation can be the seafloor is misbehaving. And, as if the earth is expanding and contracting, which we know it does. But I think sometimes it may do it in a radical way, and it trips buoys. I know there's something going on up at Yellowstone. I don't know exactly what's going on up there. I'm kind of like you guys. It's a bit of a mystery. The seismographs are still offline. And this is the University of Utah. They take earthquake, they get seismographs all around Yellowstone. This is normally one of the go-to places. Just offline. Doesn't say why, doesn't say they're down for maintenance or anything like that. And then the place that I've gone to for years, which there's another, hey, Graham, what's up, buddy? That's one of the few seismographs that are working. Now it says we have not enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I'm sorry, guys. I got this hardwired. Graham, the swarm in Russia could just be pre-shocks. You're right, Graham. It could be the calm before the storm, my friend. Where is... You're exactly right, Graham. And thank you for the super chat. Thank all you guys for the super chats. Keep them coming. Who's got the next super chat? Graham is super chat number 3. Kreck was super chat number 2. Here we go. This is where we go every day. Those of you that come and hang out with us during these live streams and videos in general, this is one of my favorite pit stops, the Yellowstone Supervolcano calderas. And nothing, no data. We are data hounds over here, and so are you guys. We need data. You know what I mean? We need data. We look for this data every day. This is telling us a story. These buoys are telling us a story. Thankfully, there's only one out here that's misbehaving, that's kind of fluctuating. It's in event mode, but it's not showing any type of tsunami activity. It's got this one little blip on the radar, actually two. One that's the green you see represents throughout the course of 1 minute. The red signature you see on there represents some sort of activity it detected that lasted around 15 seconds. So it did detect something, and as Graham mentioned, you know, this could be the calm before the storm. We're seeing some big earthquakes. There were large earthquakes right to the north and west of where that buoy's misbehaving. We've got a rogue earthquake out here in between California and Hawaii. Honestly, I've never seen one in this location before. That's a first for me. Now, maybe there's been earthquakes there in the past. I've never seen one there. We've got the swarm up here south and what? South and, well, due south of Sand Point. I thought it was southwest, but it's due south of Sand Point. That one started out as a, what was it, a 7 point? No, it wasn't a 6 point. I think it was a 7 point something, 7.3. Okay. And then that swarm, and I measured, as Graham mentioned, to possibly see if there was connection with a magnetic anomaly in this area. And you know what? With all the volcanoes and things like that in this area, I would not be a bit surprised. This next swarm over here, the latest and the biggest swarm right now on the Earth, right here, it started out as a 7.4, I believe. Let's go in a little closer, but there have been 145 aftershocks since the 7.4. Let's find the 7.4. I think it was a 7.4. I'm just trying to confirm it. That's all, guys. Yeah, 7.4, Kamchatka. There it is. 145 earthquakes in the last, what, 3 days? Not to mention the earthquake off the coast of California between California and Hawaii, the small swarm in northern New Jersey, and the list goes on and on and on. In Southern California, you can see the red dots. I mean, this is an everyday thing. These are new earthquakes, the red circles you see. There's been swarming in Southern California, kind of moving around, even going up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. A swarm up in the Sierra Nevadas. I mean, it's getting really weird. It certainly is. No access to data with respect to the Yellowstone Supervolcano caldera. And you can see a small amount of earthquake activity extending north and west of the supervolcano. And we've got activity at mountRainier. In fact, mountRainier was not showing any data for about 15 hours, at least on my end. In fact, let me go to mountRainier. Where is my handy dandy? There it is, mountRainier. Now up to 800. Let me refresh it. This is where it was an hour ago. Wow, look at that. 904 earthquakes at mountRainier in the last 30 days. So the energy's getting stronger here, guys. The frequency of the earthquakes being recorded here is intensifying, but yet we have no way of knowing what's going on at Yellowstone. And something was just discovered at Yellowstone by AI, uh, and how they discovered it, they were scanning data going back several years. They let the AI scan data that shows seismic activity at Yellowstone and seismic activity that we have no access to right now. It discovered 86,000 earthquakes that were unknown. Scientists had no idea they were even there. Down underneath the supervolcano, down underneath there, 86,000 new, at least new to them. They didn't necessarily all happen in one day, but they were just recently discovered. Article dated July 21st of 2025, University of Western Ontario. Thank you, Daniel. Beneath Yellowstone's stunning surface lies a hyperactive seismic world, now better understood thanks to machine learning. Researchers have uncovered 86,000 earthquakes, 10 times more than previously known, revealing chaotic swarms, moving along rough, young fault lines. With these new insights, we're getting closer to decoding Earth's volcanic heartbeat and improving how we predict and manage volcanic and geothermal hazards. Are you serious right now? That's not just a small amount. That is a significant amount of energy and movement underneath that supervolcano that we had no knowledge of. Now we can't even see the seismographs? What? Come on, guys, we want our seismographs back. What's up? So yeah, this was just recently discovered, and this was shared with me by Daniel. Machine learning has uncovered a trove of hidden earthquakes beneath Yellowstone, revealing complex patterns of seismic swarms and rough underground faults. And continues on. Let me read just the meat and potatoes of the article, okay? And again, this article is fresh, hot off the press, July 21st of 2025. Comes on the heels of us not being able to see any seismic data up here at Yellowstone. Something's up, guys. I'm telling you, there's way too many earthquakes that are out of bounds. And you know the old saying, there'll be signs in the heavens, signs in the skies, earthquakes in diverse places. Man, we're seeing earthquakes in some really weird places. Yellowstone, a popular tourist destination and namesake of an equally popular TV show, was the first ever national park in the U.S., and bubbling beneath it to this day is one of Earth's most seismically active networks of volcanic activity. I'm telling you, we've got to get our eyes and ears back up there at Yellowstone. In a new study published on the 18th in the high-impact Journal of Science Advances, Western engineering professors Bing Li and his collaborators at Universidad Industrial de Santiago in Colombia in the United States used machine learning to re-examine the historical data from underneath the caldera. And to make a long story short, the machine data discovered 86,000 new earthquakes, at least new to us, the scientific community, and they shared it with us, that they didn't even know existed. You have got to be kidding me. So this turns this into a completely different, this is a game changer. I think I put that on the banner. Yeah, this is a game changer. Absolutely it is, because that tells us that this volcano, this supervolcano, is much more active than we originally thought. And right now we have no access to any seismographs. Oh, come on, we need our seismographs back. Like I mentioned yesterday, and I said it jokingly, I mean, I would go up there and build us a seismograph. I just don't know how I'd get it online. I'd have to stay there with my camera and record it on a live stream 24/7. But we got to get our seismographs back somehow. I mean, we do have some. These are the ones that we do have. These are the seismographs. I believe these are the global seismographs. And they look normal. You can see that was probably a 6.0, a 6.3 or something that occurred a little while ago. That's the black signature you see, and it was over along according to this seismograph here and here, those are both out of China. The earthquake was probably part of the swarm over in the Western Pacific Ocean, because the seismographs are revealing a much stronger signature in the China region, seeing some highly unusual activity in the Hainan province, Tibet, China, showing what looks like a typical primary wave. But then all of these down here at the bottom of the page, more than half of the entire fleet, the data is unavailable. Australia, California, Tajikistan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Uganda. I mean, all of these are important because they all tell a story about what's going on around the world. They complete the circuit. Right now, we've only got half the circuit. Actually, less than half, because we don't have a vast majority of the seismographs, the very important seismographs over here in the US. They're not online. I have some more data here. Now, these are the ones over here in the US. And starting off right out of the gate, there's two offline, no data available: Flag Ranch, Wyoming, and Fox Creek. No seismographs. Not far from the supervolcano. What is up with that? This one here in Indian Meadow, not showing any signs of activity. That's not normal. There should be at least something on there. So this one too, even though it's up to date, 7/22, it doesn't seem to be working right. So 3 of the first 4, 3 of them being out of Wyoming, don't work. The conspiracy gets bigger and bigger by the day. We'll know if it's a conspiracy or not. We just got to keep our eyes and ears on Drew S. Hey, Drew S. Drew's a new star family member. Valerian the Mac, how you doing today? Thank you guys for stopping by. Yeah, the conspiracy's getting bigger as we have less and less access to these seismographs. And these seismographs do tell a story. They keep us in the loop. You know, this is how they understood the dynamic of the inner core of the Earth was through seismograph activity. That's how they learned. These seismographs always have a story to tell. I remember once I tracked a signature on one of these seismographs from all the way up here in Maine. I saw an unusual blip on the radar, if you will, on the Maine seismograph. And then I got to looking, I saw it in New York, or I saw it in New Hampshire, I saw it in New York, and then I saw it over in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. You get the story. It was moving across the United States from east to west, and by the time it left Maine and got all the way to the west coast of coastal Washington, it took 30 minutes for that to travel. Now, if that would have been or actually longer than that, I think it took an hour and something. So that told a story that there was something traveling underground that left a small little signature on the radar. Not radar, literally, about like this right here. That traveled all across the US. And each time it moved slow, but it was the same strength all the way across the United States. It told a story, and it was not an earthquake signature. It was something else. Exactly what, remains a mystery. I don't know, but we do have some seismographs here in the United States that are online. But as you can see, Central Alaska offline, Pennsylvania offline, Grayling, Michigan offline, Idaho Springs, Colorado offline, Wisconsin, Montana. Here's the Yellowstone one right here, the one that we want, right? Nothing. And these are showing the energy. I don't know, I'm not sure what's going on here. This is up in, this one's up in Maine too, Kenny State Park. Ay. That's weird. What's up? That's got, when you see something like that, okay, you can probably all right, that's got to be some sort of faulty equipment, right? A faulty needle? I don't know. The rest of them look like they're working pretty good. But again, no data there out of Oklahoma. And I get it, machines are going to break from time to time. Needles break. They're man-made devices. They're going to break down from time to time. But there's probably as many offline here, or pretty close to as many offline as there are online. So to make a long story short, we've got a lot of earthquake activity going on across the northern hemisphere, even up here in the northwestern United States. This is the PNSN. This is the Pacific Seismic Network. And as you can see, it's showing seismic activity around Seattle. I can remember a day many years ago where it was rare to see an earthquake even close to Seattle. Now, as you can see, there's earthquakes all over the place. In fact, a swarm not too long ago, just south and east of Olympia, due south of Seattle. There's an earthquake here up in southern British Columbia. A lot of activity now up here. A lot of activity offshore. This is a big hydrothermal vent field out here. And this they're watching very closely too. And that would be considered a swarm, a fairly large swarm, but it ties in with the activity that we had or currently have over in Alaska, ties in with the activity that we have over in the far western Pacific. This just monitors the activity off the Pacific Northwest coast and the interior of Washington and Oregon. And I believe this has volcanic, yeah, it does. Has Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, mountRainier, Baker, Hood, Jefferson, and Crater Lake. The picture I had on the homepage of the website yesterday was from right here, Crater Lake. Beautiful picture someone had took of the auroras looking to the north. They were on the south side of Crater Lake, they had a beautiful view of the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, and the sky was green and red from right there, Crater Lake. Just an incredible photo. Let me get back to my handy dandy zoomer right there. Crater Lake. So this is one of our favorite pit stops too. I like to go here and get data. This is a good place to get data. You can monitor the volcanoes up here. You can monitor seismic activity. I mean, this is a fairly densely populated area, right? So we like to keep a close eye on it. Here's mountRainier. Boom, there's all the earthquakes at mountRainier. Let's see if there's anything going on at Mount St. Helens. We've all heard of that, right? A little bit of activity going on at Mount St. Helens. Huh? Albeit small, but nevertheless, that's earthquake activity. That's seismic activity at the summit of Mount St. Helens. Let's go to Mount Hood. It's kind of looking around. Not too much, if anything, going on here. 3 or 4 or 5 little earthquakes in the last week. Let's go to Mount Adams. 1. So compared to mountRainier, we use these as gauges. mountRainier is hyperactive right now. This one here, Mount Jefferson, 0. Not much going on there at all. In fact, nothing going on right there. Glacier Peak, none. That's at 10,500 feet. And let's go to the Three Sisters real quick. 1. And then back to mountRainier, you kind of get the idea. mountRainier is a hot spot. mountRainier, it is a hot spot. This one just occurred today at 2.2 today. Wow, all right. That was just a little while ago. No, that was yesterday, within the last, 36 hours. Getting stronger and getting more frequent, up to 904 now. When we first mentioned this the other day, I've been watching it for a while, but once I started just seeing it to start climbing rapidly, it's like, okay, now it's at 904. 904 in the last 30 days. That's a lot, guys. So that's telling us that, well, it's telling a story, like the freaky flashing lights, They're trying to tell us a story as well. Hello there, my friend. Above the Norm News. Love your channel. Keep up the great work. Aw, bless your heart. That's super kind. Thank you for the super chat. And I do my best, and I'm glad you like my channel. I try hard. I put a lot of work into this. I really do. I've been researching the Earth, the sun, the sky, the Earth's interior for many, many years. It's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. I really do. I think I probably should have worked in a school or something. Who knows? But it's something that I do enjoy learning as I've gotten older. Now, when I was young, I gotta be honest. When I was a teenager, I wasn't real fond of school. But as I became a young man and an adult, I couldn't get enough of learning. Here's our primary pit stop. This is where we always go every day, right here. This is the homepage of the website. In fact, today's new photo was sent in by Charlene. I post a new photo every day. Like I said, the photo I had up, I've already filed it. I save them, and we're going to put together a calendar, and it's going to be in the calendar, the one from Crater Lake. Oh yeah, it's a true classic. This one here, I don't know where it was from, but as you can see, a rare fog bow. You don't see these very often, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times the fog bows are near a body of water, maybe a coastline. Not quite sure where this one was at because they didn't say. But if you guys do send something in, always include the location. If you're not comfortable with sending the exact location, that's cool. Maybe just send the state, just some point of reference. But this is where we keep the Yellowstone tab. No data since the 16th. What is going on? Here's your sand update. I've got a couple other things I want to share with you guys too, so don't go anywhere. I'm just looking here at my notes. I have to keep notes now, guys. I got so much information that I'm trying to convey to you guys. I have to keep it organized somehow. And I've got both my monitors full. I got to watch the chat over here. Oh, thank you, moderator. 2.3. Keep the likes going, guys. The more you like it, the more it pushes the video out. And if liking is free, just hit that like button. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay. What this is, guys, let me give you a little different perspective what we're looking at there. That was kind of a close-up color view of the vast swath of dust that's traveling from the Sahara Desert. You know, you got to ask yourself, how does it get aloft like that? But it does it every year like clockwork. June 23rd, the lift is in motion, and it starts blowing dust from right here, and it travels all the way across the ocean. There it is in color format, so you can kind of see what's headed towards the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf, the eastern U.S., up into Texas. It's been interacting in Texas, Louisiana, parts of Florida. Today, yesterday, right now as I do this video, the darker red you see is the thicker the dust. Isn't that great? Ah, it's just scrumptious. Look at the tan you see on here. Let me brighten this up so you can get a good perspective of the density of this dust. The nice thing about it, if there is any nice component about this, hurricanes don't form in that super dry environment. And you can just tell by looking at that's Sahara dust, and it is super dry. The Sahara is not necessarily known for its moisture, and it's sending that dust to the west. And it travels thousands of miles. Every year it's been doing it now. And I don't remember it being so prominent prior to 2013, but maybe it was. It just seems like it's a little more excessive these past few years. But anyway, you can see right now it's going into the Caribbean in dramatic form. That is a very thick plume of it's dust particulates. And if you look it up over here on that's what it's listed under right here. Particulates. It's not necessarily full-blown sand because it wouldn't be able to travel that far. But it's enough to mess up the air quality, interfere with the sunrises and sunsets. I will say it will make some interesting sunrises and sunsets if you're in the middle, like right now in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Lesser Antilles, the smaller islands of the Caribbean. Not all the way down, but you know, right there in the center, especially by Puerto Rico, their sunrises and sunsets, because it's on both sides of the islands, are going to be pink, a very bright pink. The sand particulates act as a solar filter. It's just, honestly, I think it's nasty. I ain't gonna lie, it is nasty. When we have dust storms out here in Arizona, they are the nastiest things. Because everything in your whole city is just filthy dirty. So then you wait on rain, and people are out doing, you know, rain dance and whatever. They're wanting it to rain so bad just to get everything cleaned off and clear out your sinuses. It's just unbelievable. I tell you, I would rather deal with a foot of snow than a dust storm any day. And I've had both. I've been in a foot of snow. I'll take it. Give me the foot of snow. At least everything's clean. Ugh. Good Lord. What do we got going on here? So anyway, that's the dust situation, guys. It's not slowing down any. If anything, it looks like it's getting stronger. I wanted to, above the norm as a new star family member. Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome to the family. Have you guys heard about this? I've been looking on Courtney Staffin. I don't know. Where's my moderator? Oh, moderator. Got it. Thank you, moderator. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. Okay, I looked for this over here at the homepage of the website. I'll come right back to that. I just want to show you guys where this is at. We keep track of power outages. There's a lot of information here if you guys care to look at it, mrmbb333.com. And every once in a while, if you look at all those different tabs, you'll be able to connect a dot and figure out, hey, something's going on here, something's going on with the sun and the earthquakes, and oh, wait a minute, that was no coincidence. You'll see that there's a lot of things that aren't coincidences if you follow those tabs. But there was a power outage, a 3-day event, and we've been talking about power and how we feel, at least me personally, that there's a common trend, an uptick of dirty electricity sweeping the earth. But for some reason out here in Washington, I believe it was Washington, article dated the 20th, this is less than 48 hours old, Washington, numerous DuPont Circle neighbors woke up Sunday morning to a now familiar issue. Their power was out yet again. Is this yet another side effect of this dirty electricity that I think is sweeping the earth? Anytime I see an example of these power outages, that's what I think of. And I've got an example to share with you guys here in a minute that is totally, at least to me, it's very obvious. And they're not super bright flashing lights, so don't worry. They're not uncomfortable. You guys will. They're very good videos, and we can learn from them. But for some reason out here in Washington, there have been 3 days in a row there were power outages. According to Pepco, this is the power company, the 22nd Street substation experienced its third power outage within 3 days. And the electrical company was actively addressing the equipment issue. As of 5 p.m. on Sunday, Pepco reported the utility repairs were completed and power was restored to the customers. The outage began, check this out, the outage began on Thursday. They have said what the underlying problem was that caused the outages, according to the Pepco website, they haven't said. According to Pepco website, as of noon, 28% of the customers in the 236 zip code were impacted by the outage. These equipment issues, along with increased demand from the summer heat and imminent storms, have placed an increased load on the electric system. Sounds good, right? But as we've been following these weird lights all around the world, rogue and randomly affecting different homes, businesses, cars, trucks, even solar lights, for crying out loud. This too reminds me of one of those examples that we're hearing about. This probably happens even more often than we even know, but they're talking about it because it happened 3 days in a row until they finally figured out, what was going on. Anybody out here in this area that was affected by these power outages? Dirty electricity. Aberration. No, there is such a thing as dirty electricity. What it is, okay, right here. These are current carriers. Let me get my handy dandy. Let me move it over here to the right. There you go. My little zoom feature. Okay, these things right here, I view them as current carriers. They carry electricity, and they're exposed to the atmosphere, right? To the elements. Well, that tells me they're like a giant antenna standing there, right? Well, couldn't they absorb energy of an EMP? Of course they could. They can absorb energy from solar storms. What would create dirty electricity would be an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, because it would kind of interfere with the flow of electricity running through these current carriers, these lines. So it sounds like to me something out here in this part of the world, rogue and randomly, something affected the substation, causing these power outages. And you'd have thought that they would have figured it out after the first try. I mean, normally these linemen and stuff, they're very good. We've seen them restore power to millions of people following hurricane landfalls, and they get it done with the quickness. They're very bright, they're very intelligent, and they're good at what they do. For there to be 3 outages in a row, and they're not really sure, exactly what happened. Maybe it's the dirty electricity phenomena. I don't know. Graham says the atmosphere is loaded with solar particles. You're exactly right, Graham. It is loaded with a lot of different things. And we're going to talk about, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about something that the atmosphere is loaded with that's not necessarily talked about a whole lot. But it kind of ties in with what we're talking about here today. So rogue power outages out in Washington cause, for the most part, unknown. Once again, the seismographs offline at Yellowstone, an uptick in earthquake activity, 86,000 new ones discovered in old data from AI that nobody knew was there. 86,000. So that changes our whole understanding of the Yellowstone Supervolcano. That right there changes our whole understanding. This thing is a whole lot more active than we thought. That's what that story is telling me. This thing is a lot more active than we ever even dreamed of. 86,000 is a lot. And then the rogue earthquake here off the coast of California, way off the coast of California, almost halfway between California and Hawaii. Guys, seriously, earthquakes don't happen out there. I mean, obviously one did. Something happened. But that is just way out of bounds. I don't recall ever seeing one there. And I've been following this platform since '08. I don't recall ever seeing an earthquake out there. That is just nuts. That is so bizarre. I just see a penguin out there. That's how weird that looks to me. But there it is. We're seeing earthquakes in diverse places. Yellowstone, not seeing a whole lot of activity. I mean, there's a little bitty swarm here, but nothing to write home about. A little bit of activity. And Hebgen Lake, there's some activity over here in the Hebgen Lake area, albeit small, but nevertheless, that's the home of the largest earthquake ever recorded at Yellowstone. The 7.2 magnitude earthquake of 1959 occurred right there. Hebgen Lake. Oh yeah, it was a big earthquake. Hasn't been one like that since, but now that we understand there's 86,000 undiscovered earthquakes underneath Yellowstone, that's a game changer. I mean, it really is. It changes our whole understanding of the supervolcano caldera. I wanted to share something with you guys. A new image has surfaced of the ancient time traveler moving through the inner solar system. And as you guys know, I analyzed they're calling it a comet whenever it was first discovered. Well, the second time it was discovered. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to find where it's at. I should still have it somewhere here. Or did I put it away? I think no, it's right here. Okay, cool. I analyzed it once before, and here's what I got. When I first looked at it, I noticed the color spectrum was pretty wild, and there's the original right there. To me and the guys at Harvard that initially started studying this thing, they didn't think this was a comet. They thought it could be, but they knew one thing for sure, it wasn't an asteroid. Because based off of what we could see here, it was too big to be an asteroid. And moving at these unbelievable speeds at 147,000 miles an hour, it doesn't look like a comet. Moving at that speed, it should be sublime as sublime can get. It should have a tail 1,000,000 miles long, but it doesn't, right? So a new image has surfaced, and it's right here. You're seeing it maybe for your first time right here. This is from the Hubble Space Telescope, and there it is. There's the ancient time traveler, the interstellar object that's moving through the solar system. In fact, I have where is it? Right here? Right here it is. It's coming in like an airplane. Look, it's coming in like this. Like an airplane would fly. It's not coming in at an incline. No. And there it is. It's coming right in on the ecliptic plane. And the odds of it doing what it's going to do, going past Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, are 0.005%. Less than 1/2 of 1%. But it's going to do it. So it's almost as if this trip, this whole event, maybe was planned. Because for something like this to happen coincidentally, the chances of it happening coincidentally are 0.005%. So it's mind-boggling. It truly is. But anyway, here's a close-up, a decent image from the Hubble. Hubble's a great spacecraft. I love it. But again, I'm not seeing a comet there, guys. That's not conclusive to me. No. I still don't see a comet. That is a brand new image of the ancient time traveler traveling through the inner solar system right now as I do this video. In fact, here's the data. Let me get my banner I made. Nothing's really changed except its location. It's 12 miles wide, give or take a little, approximately 20 kilometers. It's interstellar, which means it's from another star. It's not a member of our star family. I've got members of the star family, some new members today. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys want to become a star family member, click on the link at the top. But this object is from another star, moving at 147,000 miles an hour. That is absolutely mind-boggling. This is only the third time in recorded history something like this has happened. And there it is. What is it? Guys, I honestly, it looks pretty decent size compared to everything else in its star field. And this reminds me of what we used to receive from the Kepler telescope back in 2010. It would be a little farther out. It'll be, well, we'd be zoomed in a lot heavier, but they would send you a star field like this. And it was live. You're just watching the foreshadows on the star. But it reminds me of this right here. But that doesn't look like a comet to me. This is from the Hubble Space Telescope. And I would think Hubble could probably get a little closer if it really wanted to. I mean, it's inside the orbit of Jupiter. Hubble should be able to dial in real close to that thing, but it didn't. So to me, in my humble opinion, that doesn't look like a comet, guys. That looks like something else. But what is this else? What is it? I don't know. It's moving through the inner solar system, coming in like this. That is rare, guys. That is really rare. No joke. Oh, I had some lightning to share with you guys. Speaking of rare, here we go. Check it out. Now, some of these may be a little bright, but I want to start off with this one here. It's not too bright. It's kind of, I put it in slow motion. See that little dot right there? The viewer said that was an airplane. I obviously didn't take the video. It was sent in by Taylor from July 19th of 2025 out of Gallatin, Tennessee. Here we go. But if you are sensitive to light, this is lightning, guys. It's going to be a little bit bright, but not too much. Here we go. Watch that little dot right there. That, again, the viewer said was an airplane. I don't know. You guys decide. You tell me. You're going to see it get struck by lightning, whatever it was. Well, I thought we would. Hang on. Let me refresh it. There we go. I'll just do it manually. Okay, now you can see the object right there. See how the sky kind of turned purple as the lightning's getting ready to do its thing? See it right there? Pretty good size object, whatever it may have been. I'm just going to do it manually so it's not so bright. Here we go. It's going to be bright at times. Here comes the lightning in from the left. It's a little bright right there. Now watch. The orb, the plane, whatever it was, kind of disappears briefly. Obviously, the light's getting overwhelming, but it's still there. Look. That's way too big to be a drone. There's no way. That's not a drone. It's too big. And I think it took a lightning strike or two. See it right there? Look how close that lightning got to it. Whoa. But anyway, the viewer said she thought it was an airplane. So it very well could have been, you know, they could have seen it moving through the sky. I couldn't tell from this vantage point. There it is again. It survived, whatever it was. The lightning strike. Let me get my handy dandy zoom tool. Right here we go. There it is. It survived. So it's a tough little guy, whatever it was. Survived a possible lightning strike. That was from Gallatin, Tennessee. Great catch. I also have, I want to share with you guys something that's, to me, it's telling a story of this, what's actually a thing, it's dirty electricity. This is out of Downey, California. Look what this gentleman saw just today in California at 6 o'clock this morning. Look, that's a parking garage. This is how new this stuff is still going on. It hasn't slowed down. If anything, it's at about the same pace that it was, at least for me personally, in November of 2024. November of 2024, prior to November of 2024, I had never received a video like this. Never. And now I have over just north of 200 or 2,000 submissions of these mysterious lights. 2,000. I mean, and prior to November of 2024, I didn't have one. Something's up. Come on. He said the same thing was going on down in the Long Beach, California area on the same day. Look at all those lights. That's a parking garage. The lights are just going completely bonkers. And that's what he was saying in the video. What is going on here? Okay, now notice right here. Look what's next to this parking garage. A big current carrier, right? Thank you, Melody's Coloring Cafe. Today is shorter by seconds, time faster. True, today is shorter by seconds, and tomorrow will be even shorter in the Northern Hemisphere. Today's already Tuesday, tomorrow's midweek Wednesday, and then next thing you know, thank you, Melody, for the super chat, Friday will be here again. Every time I turn around, it's Friday. So we've got a big power line right there next to this parking garage. And these aren't super intense, so there's no reason to run anywhere. Joe Davis, this was his outdoor security camera, caught his car misbehaving. Look at the headlights on the car. What? His headlights aren't supposed to be flashing. And when he saw the video, he found it a little bit odd because it's broad daylight. He doesn't even have his lights on. But for some reason, they were flashing, and he has no idea why. I've got a video over here somewhere that shows a whole parking lot of Teslas, and the lights are all flashing. Super weird. This also affects solar. You just saw a car with the flashing light phenomena. Here's a back porch full of solar lights. Susan R. out of Kingsport, Tennessee, where the lightning was from. Gallatin, Tennessee, same state, different community. These are solar lights. They said they'd never seen them do this before. But on that night, they were flashing all night long. In case you guys missed this one, this is inside of an airport hangar. Video sent in by Sam out of Gardner, Kansas, 7/8/2025. Look at these planes inside this hangar. And I think those are the old school bulbs. The 48-inch fluorescent. Look at this. Those are Air Force Lear jets. I mean, this isn't just any ordinary hangar. That's an Air Force hangar. Look at the lights malfunctioning inside an Air Force hangar, and you know they've got the best of the best equipment. So this stuff, it's rogue and random, and it affects anything. It doesn't matter. Just wherever it's going to show up. That was, again, inside an Air Force hangar. Northern California. This one here may be a little bright, but sent in by Stephanie, also on the same day as the event we just saw in Gardner, Kansas. And she said her light has never done that. I'll go ahead and speed past that one because it was a little bright. Erie, Pennsylvania, 7/11, John, 2025. He'd never seen this before. Lights in this community, 5:26 a.m. pre-sunrise, all malfunctioning for unknown reasons. He stopped his car to take the video because he'd never seen it before. Fitness Center, Diane and Renan, 7/10/2025. Those look like, to me, and I remember one of my high school jobs when I was a kid, we would have to change from time to time the fluorescent bulbs inside this place that I worked. And there were several aisles, and each aisle had a row of bulbs just exactly like that. And the lights were configured with a black thing about the size of a half of a box of crackers. I know what it was. It was like a sleeve of saltine crackers. It was called a ballast. It was black and it had wires on each end. It controlled basically the flow of electricity to the bulbs. I never saw one flash like that there. They were either on or they would go off. Then you would have to change the bulb. They they never once flashed. Not like that. Not one time. But those do look like the twist in, you push them up and then you twist them a half a turn. Those are the fluorescent bulbs. So it's not just LED. I know there for a while there was some speculation that, oh, it's LED bulbs. And even if it was, why are there so many at the same time malfunctioning? Doesn't make any sense. But it's not just LEDs. It is any type of current carrier. It's affected. I've seen cell phones malfunction. I've seen TV monitors malfunction. I've seen computer screens malfunction, computer monitors malfunction, laptops malfunction. Obviously, you just saw car headlights malfunctioning. I've seen tail lights malfunctioning, solar lights malfunctioning, you name it. And I'm just one person, and I've gotten over 2,000 examples now. 2,000 and climbing. I'm sure there'll be more tomorrow. People are observant to this. They're looking for it now, you know, and when they see it, some people say, you know, they send in an email or a Dropbox and they say, you know, I never thought that I would see these weird flashing lights until they saw them, you know, and they're like, I'll be darned, you know. I've seen evidence of lights malfunctioning, but me personally, I can't say that I've ever seen them. We have two solar lights out front. One morning I was out retrieving the trash can. It was still dark, and this was back in like December, January, still dark early in the morning. I saw one of our solar lights flash like twice, but I wasn't sure if I saw it right, because I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, and then I looked again and it flashed one more time, and I'm like, you know, still half asleep. I'm like, okay, that didn't just happen. Maybe it did. I don't know, but I haven't seen it as much as some people. I haven't seen large sections of buildings or videos of highways. I've gotten video footage from Florida, Memphis, Tennessee, a wide variety of places where entire stretches of highway on one or both sides of the highway, lights flashing. Makes no sense. I mean, we were driving home about a month ago, and a large stretch of highway, west of town, north and west of town. And it's a populated area. But the lights, and we were driving home at night, the main lights on the freeway, and it's a 6-lane freeway. You got 3 lanes going this direction, 3 lanes going the other. The lights in the center weren't even on for miles. It was well after dark. You see some on, you could see lights on in various places, but the lights in the middle of the freeway were not working. Then you'd run across 3 that were, maybe 4 that were. And then you'd run across another patch that weren't working, just completely off. So they weren't flashing, so I didn't take any videos of them, but that's the closest thing I've seen to any type of lights malfunctioning. They just flat weren't working, and these lights aren't that old. They're fairly new. So I don't know. There's the moderator back in the house. Thank you, moderator. What is up, guys? Yeah, 86,000 new earthquakes discovered after AI went through data, discovered the earthquakes that were unknown to even exist until now. So again, that's a game changer. That changes our understanding of the supervolcano and the caldera and how it's designed and engineered. And now we're going to have to fine-tune our instruments, and maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're fine-tuning these instruments to detect all of these earthquakes that went undetected for so many years. So I'm not going to dive down the conspiracy hole just yet, but it is kind of weird that we have all this strange earthquake activity happening all across the northern hemisphere. And I'm talking a wide area out here in the Pacific Ocean between Hawaii and California. I mean, that's just weird. A swarm up here in northern New Jersey. That's just a little bit weird. There was an earthquake up here not far from where my friend Darren sent the UV reading from Abbotsford, right there. That was up in Canada. Okanagan Falls, Canada. 719. What was that? A 3.4. That one too is a little bit out of bounds. You don't normally sea earthquakes up there. And then the ongoing swarms. We'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see what tonight brings. But the earthquake activity is definitely on the rise. Something is up. Earth is going through a shift. It could be a variety of different things causing it. But right now, one thing we do know, it's not solar activity. Here's a look at the solar activity for the last 3 days. These are solar flares at the GOES X-ray flux. This is what monitors the flaring. Look, the last 7 days. In fact, the last 14 days, if you wanted to, this only goes up to 7 days, quiet, super quiet, nothing going on, crickets. But that can always change. We are in solar maximum, and it will change. We'll see more solar flares for sure. Right now we've seen, that's something I keep track of over here at the website, 79 X-class solar flares in solar cycle 25. We're at solar flux unit of 140. That's the overall output of the sun. And that's honestly right around average. You know what I mean? 60s, it fluctuates even during solar maximum. It can get as high as 200, 300. Who knows? Nobody really knows for sure what the sun's capable of. But that's the total solar output. Right now, it's right around midway. I've seen it as low as 60. So it fluctuates when the sunspots face the Earth, active regions face the Earth, and sometimes when coronal holes, but not always. But it definitely fluctuates when there's sunspot activity. And right now there's a little, but not much. Okay, guys, what else do I have? I think that's all my cards showing right there. Yay, I think we got through it all right. Cool beans, we sure did. All right, guys, I got you the UV update for today. The UV was a little bit steep up in Abbotsford. Got to be honest, this is Darren's reading out of Canada. Just to kind of recap on the UV, I know a lot of you guys are super interested in this UV, and this is an important number. It's an important part of our life experience here on Earth, because if that number were to ever say get up into the 20 range or whatever, anywhere, you'd know that your shields were failing. The atmosphere would be failing. That number right there, it shows, and especially this number here, mine that I got, Arizona, that's showing the atmosphere, at least above Arizona, is still good. It's in good shape. Not too much going on. The UVC is a little questionable, but we'll keep an eye on it. As long as it doesn't get above 3 or 4, it's considered a trace amount, even though technically it shouldn't be down here. Overall, the shields are strong. Okay, that's why we do this. We want to make sure that the shields are strong. This tells us they're strong. If that were to show, like I said, something above 20, you wouldn't want to go outside. So even at that, that's considered extreme, but that would be a low extreme level. Extreme starts at 12. They should never see 12, though, in Abbotsford, British Columbia. It's too far north. The farther north you go, the lower the UV. The lower you go towards the equator, the higher the UV. That's just a general rule of thumb. The UV in Abbotsford, British Columbia shouldn't be more than the UV in Arizona, ever. But you know what? It consistently is. So that tells us that's, for some reason, that's how the continent and the atmosphere and everything in between that makes all this work is engineered. Because Darren has sent me readings now for, I think this is year 5. And his readings are always during the summer months on clear sunny days in or near the extreme range. Don't know why. That too is a bit of a mystery. The core is warmer, should be pushing it to the surface. You're right, Graham. There's something else down at the inner core of the Earth that we're going to talk about maybe in tomorrow's live stream. We'll see. We'll see. I've got some information that some of you may know and some of you may not know. It's something that I did a report on many years ago. Actually, when I first learned about it, I found it very fascinating. I haven't touched on it today. I didn't even bring it up. But I have it on deck right over there on the runway for tomorrow's video. So we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's a fascinating field of study. I enjoy researching this field, and I'm sure a lot of you will too, but we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Thank you, moderator, for a good job. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and spending part of your day or evening with me. Maybe it's morning where you're at. I know our friends in Australia and New Zealand, it is already July 23rd. They're getting their new day started, and we're just winding our day up over here. But I appreciate everybody's comments. I appreciate all the new Star family members, and I appreciate all the super chats. You guys want to keep it going? Are there any more super chats in the house? Any super stickers in the house? Any, what are they called? Those, I forgot. Oh, dancing pears, I think they are. There's dancing pears down there. Every once in a while, those dancing pears are coming out. Guys, I got to get a swig of my water here, so forgive me if it's loud. I'm thirsty. I think I did it quiet. Getting a little parched there. Some water. Japan meltdowns. Christ wins. What's up, Joey? Ryan? Thank you, Ryan. They say around 2,000 years apart. If you guys want to become Star family members, welcome to the family. Click on the link up top. It's just pennies a day. It really is to become a Star family member. Pennies. You guys can do it. Thank you, RV, and keep it rolling. The chat's been rolling strong all afternoon. In fact, it's 4 o'clock here in Arizona. Alexis Omnis, howdy from the UK. What's up, Alexis? Alexis is a Star family member. Getting late over there in the UK. It's probably what, about midnight in the UK, Alexis? Oh, there's a, holy cow, there's a super chat right there. Peter Shell. Thank you, Peter Shell, who is also a Star family member. Is anything going on with the sun that could be triggering the earthquakes? Good question, Peter. And to answer your question, no. That's always one of my first things I go to as well. You know, I always blame it on the sun. It's got to be the sun, right? But no. The data that I've used for years is showing the sun being super quiet, almost eerily quiet. Like Graham had mentioned earlier, it's almost like the calm before the proverbial storm, you know. It's been very quiet, Peter, but good question though, because the sun can and always has and always will influence earthquake activity on the earth. It certainly does. We've connected that dot many times over here. Yes. It certainly does have an impact on earthquake activity. There's Drew S. Thank you, Drew. You're welcome. It is my pleasure. And thank you, Peter, for the super chat. Those are all super duper and they really help. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to call it a day, but Peter, back to your question, the sun, since we're in solar maximum, you would think with the 7.3, the 7.4 that we've had in the last week, the weird swarm in northern New Jersey, and then this odd earthquake out between Hawaii and California, you would think the sun would be hurling CMEs and launching X flares off and sending shock waves through the solar system. It's just simply not the case. It's almost reversed, you know. So I look for, believe it or not, earthquake activity to increase even more than it is right now. It's eerily, the sun is eerily quiet. For solar maximum, it's been very quiet. In fact, let's just look at the earth-facing side of the sun. Go over here, you click on that tab right here where it says sun. It will take you to the SDO that I've used for years. It's one of my favorite spacecrafts. And it gives us a bird's eye view, more or less, of the sun. And we can see sunspots and active regions and coronal holes and flares and all that. This is what the earth-facing side of the sun looks like right now. And honestly, for solar maximum, that's pretty chill. There's not much going on. We can zoom in and look at the active regions, and I don't know, they're just kind of typical smaller sunspots that are not going to influence earthquake activity on Earth. In fact, they're not even Earth-directed yet. they produce no major solar flares. We haven't had a major solar flare in quite some time. And those send shock waves towards the Earth, and the Earth absorbs the energy, and all that energy is reconfigured into an earthquake or a volcano eruption. That's another thing too. Solar activity, heightened solar activity, can and will influence volcanic activity. And we've seen an increase in volcanic activity just here recently. Um, but no, the sun is eerily quiet, Peter. But that's normally what I point my finger. It's the sun, blame it on the sun. I've written articles about the sun and coronal holes and how the coronal hole energy affects people. It does, it affects all of us. Looking at the Schumann resonance, quiet. There's the Schumann, it's been quiet too, with the exception of yesterday. I see there was a big spike yesterday that lasted about a part of 4 hours. That's up over that's probably 50 hertz. The average is 7.83. That's the frequency of the Earth. So all things considered here, I mean, that's a chart for a week, basically. Pretty stable. You know, you've got some spiking here and there, random spiking. Yesterday's spike, that was during the overnight hours yesterday. That's pretty strong. I mean, it was obviously strong, but we've seen stronger, that at least with regard to longevity. I've seen them last for 12, 14 hours. That one, maybe 4 hours, I think, 5 hours tops. So the Schumann is quiet too. I think it's the calm before the storm, guys. So buckle up, get ready, but just know everything's going to be good. It's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. But we may see some things like these 86,000 earthquakes that were unbeknownst to anybody until here just recently. We'll probably see more things like that are completely new and change our way of thinking about a lot of things. We'll just have to wait and see how all this unfolds. It's quite fascinating indeed. And I'm still watching the ancient time traveler that's moving through the inner solar system as close as I can. And my humble opinion, I'm still not completely convinced that's a comet. But we'll have to wait and see the closer it gets. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to hop off here. I want to thank everybody for stopping by today. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, the shares, the super chats, and the New Star family members. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.